Hello and welcome to another episode of Motors for the Masses, and yes, we are back on Bob, and today it's a bit of a light day. I don't mean the weather or things that aren't heavy, I mean we're doing lights and stuff and other stuff too. But before we roll the intro, I just want to point out that Motorcycle Live 2019 is at the NEC in Birmingham this year, 16th to the 24th of November, and part of that they have what they call a social hub, different YouTubers and Instagrammers and people like that turning up and saying hello and things. Well, we're going to be there on Sunday the 24th, so it's the last Sunday, and I think the best one, because that's when people go for all the bargains and cheap stuff that the companies don't want to take home again. So pop along on Sunday the 24th, and if you want to come and say hello, then please do. I think it's Hall 4, number 4E05 or something like that. But we'll put some details in the description below afterneath, which is like underneath, but later. And if you want to come and say hello, then please do. If you don't, then we understand. We're not the prettiest, are we? So, without any further ado and nonsense, please roll the intro and let's get cracking.
Crack!
I've been a real bad boy on the town all night. Starting to calm down with the morning light down in the dirt.
So, if you recall, some time ago, I forget which episode, we made this thing to mount our, what's this thing on the back?
Mudguard.
Mudguard on the back. But I was looking at it yesterday and I thought, we can't have it there, simply because this has, are we there yet? Down there?
I can be.
Yeah.
There we go.
Are we there? There we go. Chain adjustment. So the wheel can therefore move towards the front of the bike if you put a shorter chain on for a new chain or whatever. Which meant that if you had said mudguard on, it would be in the way of moving the wheel. So I chopped 20mm off it so that it sits a bit further away from the wheel, sort of in there, so it doesn't really show. It gives you the scope to move the wheel about.
So our first task is to remount this, and then we're going to put on the under brace and the bracket for the light. So that will go in here as such and screw through the hole in the frame that we made. So there we go. It's still pretty close to the tyre.
Yeah, but not too close.
Not
also
too close.
Not too far away either.
No, exactly. And it's actually, as I say, quite close, but you've got plenty of adjustment in the chain to and fro as you see fit. So if we moved it all the way forward, it still wouldn't touch the mudguard. And of course, if we move it back, it's going to be further away.
Yeah,
slightly.
if you've got a lot of slack in your chain, then you're going to start looking a bit silly down there. So don't let it get really slack. Change the chain. Service it when it needs servicing.
Yeah.
So we mentioned in the previous video on the Bob that we were going to make a brackety bracey thing to support the back end there of our thing. And Mark also mentioned there was going to be a twist in it.
But before we do that, let's show you the process of how we did that.
Oh yeah, okay. So there's our twist, and that's not as neat as the other ones. I did that a bit quicker. However, just as a quick run through as to what I used to do that in case you would like to do something similar. First of all, gas torch thingy. It's like just a plumber's one. That's a butane propane mix. You can get that from most places, especially in springtime when they do like the garden burners and stuff, and Lidl and Aldi and B&M and all that sort of stuff. Brilliant. Just screws onto there. It's very important to use the biggest lighter you can find to light that, just because, well, it's funny. So, yeah, and then that's how you end up with a nice twisty bit of metal. Piece of cake. Oh, and also, if you're clamping it in the vise like we did, start with your heat fairly high to where you want to start your twist, begin twisting and then move the flame down as you go, and then you get a nice even twist. And just twist it as you heat it up, and you want it to get to a kind of cherry red, and then just start going, and then just keep going and keep moving the heat along as you go.
So what could be the issue if you don't do that?
What, move the heat?
Yes.
I think you might end up with just a really tight twist, and it could end up splitting the metal at the edges or something.
Okay.
I didn't really experiment with it too much because I sort of knew what I was doing when I did it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I imagine you could end up with just, you know, if you get a piece of plastic and twist it and it kind of just mangles, end up like that.
Before we proceed, this is a commercially merchandised advert, read by Malcolm.
Read by me, yeah. If you'd like to support Motors for the Masses, us, then we do have a Patreon page where you can go on to Patreon and, is it donate?
Donate.
Donate
Become a patron.
Become a patron, donate an amount of money. It starts at $1, which is about £1.20 or something at the moment.
Is it? $1 is £1.20? That can't be right.
I'm sure, well, they put fees on
the other way around, isn't it?
I pay like £1.20 each month.
So the one
to
you
the
do?
Patreon, yeah.
Right, okay.
That's $1.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, so go on there. There are benefits to that. There are things we send out depending on which tier you go for. So there'll be key rings and stickers and
yeah, and the more you go up,
stuff.
you get mugs and t-shirts and stuff like that.
And exclusive video footage, whether it be bloopers or a sneak peek of something that we're doing or whatever. Also, we have a merchandise or stuff guff shop.
Facebook shop.
Yeah, which is also linked below the video, as with the Patreon too. And you can find stuff on there, whether it's t-shirts or hoodies or mugs, key rings, stickers. Is there stickers on there?
Yes.
Yeah. If there isn't, then there might be.
There is.
And that's that. So yeah, thanks. If you'd like to support us, please do. It helps with doing things like this, which of course is a giveaway at some point. Someone will win it. Or be
Okay,
selected
enough of that, move on.
And that's that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Right, so here is the finished article.
Oh yeah. So here it is, with twists, and I did one way and one the other way to keep for symmetry.
Yes.
Very important.
Now, the reason why it's so high up is because of
The brake caliper.
the brake caliper. Unfortunately, the brake caliper would have been in the way if it
Yeah.
was halfway down.
It's quite close, so I thought, well, if we move it up, then that'll be better. So that goes underneath, like so.
Underneath.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And it will be in there.
The holes line up.
There you go. It's just there. It is.
Right. So that will be welded onto the frame down there, like
Yeah,
so,
we'll put some tabs on.
with a little twist in it.
Yeah. It's different, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what we'll do as well is we'll get the word Bob engraved down there. Bob
Okay. Yeah.
on the side. What do you think?
Sure. Why not?
B-O-B on both sides.
Yeah.
Because after all, that is its name. His, her name? At this point, please let us know. Do you refer to your bike as a man or a woman? I personally refer to all my vehicles as men. Because otherwise, they'd be a bit weird as women, because I've always gone for like big vehicles. I can't really have a Ford Ranger with a woman's name or a Mustang with a woman's name. Because it just feels, you know, like a 7-litre V8 Mustang is a man.
I see where you're coming from.
Is that stereotypical? I do apologise if it is, and I apologise if I've offended anyone.
I've called my Granada Molly because it's on the number plate.
It's blown my theory out of the water, isn't it?
And it made sense though, because the number plate is MLY and my nan's name was Molly, so...
And you're saying your nan was as large as a Granada?
No, I'm just saying she was my granny.
Unbelievable. You heard it here first, folks.
From him.
He thinks his nan is a fat lump, like a Granada.
No.
Just
But
a
no,
little
but her name was Her name was Molly, and she was my granny. So when I saw the car, I had to buy
I
it
see
for
what you
that
did there.
reason, yeah.
She was your granny.
Yeah.
Right, I get that.
Get it?
No, I
And
didn't get
then-
it before.
And then
No, I didn't.
Erinka was named by the wife, and that's just...
That's just a weird name, I'm sorry. I can't get used to that one.
It's only
Erinka.
because it's ENK on the number plate.
Right.
No point looking over there.
So
it
where's
hasn't
the
got
Eri
number.
come from?
E-N-K.
E-N-K?
Yeah.
Why is not just Erica then, instead of Erinka?
Because it's got an N in it.
Oh, God, you're so complex.
The wife named it, not me.
Okay, right. So, moving on.
If you want to know more about that, it's written on the projects page on the web page.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, no. So yeah, there we go.
So anyway, what we're also going to do is mount the light to this. And
Yes.
there's going to be a small bracket going over the top here.
Yeah, we'll probably just get a piece of this and just put it on the outside.
Just to double strengthen it. And then once that's on there, that isn't going to go anywhere. We are slightly concerned that because this is quite a thin piece of metal, that you're going to get a bit of sideways vibration as you're riding along. So to combat that, another piece of this is going to go on the inside, like so, slightly thinner to be the same width as this.
Just shave down.
And just to make it more rigid, like so. You won't notice it, it'll just be behind and welded to this. So they are going to go on as well. Right, oh hello, falling over.
Bye.
Carry on, next scene, please. I'll just crawl out.
Yep.
At this point, I also want to point out why there's 5 holes in here. That's not because we're screwing it with 5 screws. These are plug weld holes. So basically you just drill a hole in this and you weld in the hole, and then afterwards you grind off the top and smooth it over. That way you've got a proper weld to the bracket underneath without any blobby welds underneath it. Now there wasn't enough heat in that first weld, so turn the heat up and hopefully it should weld a little bit better now. Please also bear in mind I'm not a welder, just an amateur, so, but always good to give it a go.
This is literally like your 2nd or 3rd time welding, isn't it?
Yep. Now, at this point, while I give my back a rest, because it's not good leaning over like this, I just want to point out that I know I'm not an expert and this is not professional welding, but if you don't give these things a go, you're never going to improve. So I really do encourage that if you want to give these things a go, as long as you're doing it safely and you've got the right equipment, give it a go. If you mess up, you can always do it again. If not, as I say, yes, okay, needed a bit too much welding, but got round it, just grind off the excess and, you know, it's worth a try. What do you reckon?
I reckon exactly that. But also, if you've got somewhere local that's got some scrap metal kicking around, just get a couple of bits of scrap metal which are similar to what you want to weld to.
And give it a practice.
And just practice run it, yeah.
Yeah. So, for now, I'm just going to finish off these, smooth them over, and then we'll move on. I'm not going to film the rest of this because otherwise you're going to get very bored very quickly. I'm ready for lunch, don't know about you. And here is the finished article. So as you can see, a lot better, now it's smoothed off. Now, there is still a tiny imperfection, but because of the condition of the mudguard, which is not brilliant, let's be honest, it's still solid, it's just quite rusty. Finding a mudguard that fits is not easy without spending hundreds of pounds on mudguard sections. And that's just an unnecessary purchase, to be honest. This is perfectly solid, but what we're going to do now, or what we're going to do later before we spray it, is to just skim the whole lot and then put a smooth, small layer of filler over it before we treat it and spray it. So, there we go for now. Now, the next bit is the strengthening bars down here. So Malcolm is going to weld them on, because he's a better welder than I am. And then we'll fit it. All right, for now, that is pretty much what it's going to look like. Right, we've just had an idea. Now, our plan originally, as we said before, was to mount this on there, like so. Okay? But what we thought was it's going to serve two purposes. One, to hide any sort of blemishes, but another one is a piece of bar, the same thickness as this, and it's going to be bolted through here with a nice Allen key head bolts.
Button top.
Them.
Button head.
Yeah, flushed with that, and then it can be slightly, a little kink, slightly raised, all the way across the top and then down the other side. We're only talking about that high.
So the top will be flat, yeah?
Yeah. and then a little bracket off the top to mount that on it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? The other option was to just do a little bracket like that and then just mount that on there. So one simple bracket.
Yeah. Do we want to make a little cowl to cover it all in afterwards? Just a little bit of shaped metal and just make a little cowl to go over it like that.
What about, actually, forget that idea, what about a little L bracket like that, just like we were before,
Yeah.
mount that on,
Yeah.
and then, as you say,
Put a cowl on.
it goes across here, it gets wider, a little hood over, and then down. Now it's going to be too much.
No, I was thinking just a cowl to just cover up the back, just to look at a little, like almost like a shark fin.
Oh, I see.
Type shape.
What, like down here and then down like that?
Yeah, yeah. Just a little triangular thing to just go on the back.
And then that is the end of it.
Yeah, because that'll
So
then
it comes up, that's going to have to be...
that will hide any of this.
I'll tell you what, it could be, like you say, like a shark fin. So it goes thin like that, and then to a point up here, like that.
Yeah.
And then around, and
needs
then
to be
down.
Pretty boring shape, because otherwise it'd be really hard to shape it. But
Yeah, that means we're not going to be able to get this done today, because we're going to have to manufacture that.
yeah, but we can mount the light on a little bracket.
Yeah, we'll mount the
And then
light on
do
the little
that
bracket, and then we can measure up where we want it, and we can do a mock-up of cardboard
Yes.
going round down here to a point with like a slight...
Yeah, so it'd just be like a
Yeah.
shark fin shape.
What do you think of that idea? Please let us know in the comments below if you like that idea. The little shark fin that sort of starts here and goes up and gets wider and comes up just to fill up this wiring section, and then...
Yeah.
I
Just
like
a
that
little,
idea.
little something.
Yeah.
So we'll get this mounted on today. We'll make the little brackets on the
Yes, we've got the
swing arm.
little L-plate brackets to go on here, and then they'll get bolted through and mount that.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to the side panels.
Yeah. So also, I've made this old panel, as a template for our hooks.
Right, lunch. So now lunch is finished. The next thing is to make the brackets for that. And what we're going to do, we're going to go with the same width bracket, and then like a 45-degree angle either side, and then straight down there. And that will be welded onto the swing arm, and then we'll drill a hole in there, which will then mount the arm connector bracket thing for the mudguard. Very technical. Now, we could use a set square and get all our maths equipment out from high school, but we're not going to. Malcolm has suggested, and I agree, that we're going to use our built-in protractor in our eye. So it's going to be like a drawing scenario like that. However, I do need to measure the width of that and make sure I get the right width here between the two 45-degree angles, and then on the bottom.
Use your eye ruler.
Tape
It's
measure.
about that size.
No, tape measure. Don't be a bell end. Right, so the width of this is 1.75, so 150, 160, 170 millimeters. So I'm going to go with 170 millimeters width, and then the 45-degree angles, and then along the bottom it doesn't really make too much difference as long as it's the same both sides.
So meanwhile, while Mark's been doing some chopping and grinding and stuff, I've been drilling some holes for our seat plate. So that will mount in there after we've drilled a little cut bit out of there so we can access this nut underneath. That'll be in there. And in the back, it's going to be up a touch like that.
And then we're going to have tabs on. So we're going to weld a tab up here and then across like that with a hole in. And these nuts on the back here will go through the hole and bolt on the back. So that will be a hard seat because we don't need the springs because we've got those.
Yep.
Right, so Malcolm has informed me I have made what is apparently known as an irrelevant mistake.
Yeah, I've dubbed it an irrelevant mistake.
I don't quite understand what he means by that.
Well, it doesn't matter that you've done it the wrong way around. It's the same, isn't it?
No, obviously not. Instead of it being that way round, it's going to be that way round, which is not the same, is it? So why would it be an
Because if you
irrelevant
put it that
mistake?
way, it's the same as putting it that way.
How is it?
Shape-wise.
Shape-wise, but not distance-wise. I don't think it's going to work.
Well, it has to work because that's how I cut those.
I thought they were going to go that way round, so this bit is on the inside.
Well, no, because I want to put a captive nut on the back of it. It's get awkward if you put
Right, okay, fair enough. So it's go that way round. But
Yeah.
then there's quite a bend. That's going to have to come out and then bend the bottom over.
Yeah, we're going to bend this over a touch as well.
Are you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be fine.
Will it?
Yes.
However, these do seem quite wide. We might have to cut them down because it goes over this.
Yeah, I noticed that on this side too.
So probably going to have to cut that in half so it sits flush up against that
Yeah.
rather than over it.
Which is no big deal really. So
No, I mean it doesn't need to be huge and cumbersome. It really doesn't.
no, it's only a little tab, isn't it? As long as
Okay.
it's fixed on, that'll be great.
Right, where's the fake Sharpie?
I don't know, over there somewhere.
Or the Fergal.
The blunty.
the Blunty, yeah, it is. I thought we called it Fergal.
We did call them Fergals, didn't we?
Fergal Sharpie. If you don't know who Fergal Sharkey is, then you're clearly too young. If you do know who Fergal Sharkey is, then you're clearly too old, I guess. I don't know. Right, there you go.
Thanks.
Right, so that's holes drilled. We have a captive nut on the end.
Just screw this in
So let's
first.
just screw that back in. And then this should slot in nicely.
It may need a little bit of tweaking here and there, but
Yeah. Now, please bear in mind, we're only using crappy little screws for now, just to put things in place. Once the bike is going back together, after it's all been painted and everything, we shall be replacing all the nuts and bolts with nice ones.
yeah, we'll use some nice,
Yeah, some nice Allen key head ones.
yeah, little dome head things.
Yeah.
My side needs a little bit of a tweak outwards.
Right, okay, so I'm gonna stand at the back here, and I'll be the eye, if you be the tweaker.
How's that looking?
Hideous. In fact, let me get the people, and they can see. You cheated. You tweaked it as I was moving the camera,
Well, we were tweaking.
and now it's extremely close.
It was like that. I
It
think.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
And now it isn't. Right. Okay.
It needs an amount of tweaking to get it where we want it.
Yeah.
And obviously to be tightened up because it's all a bit loose at the moment.
It is.
I shall go and retrieve a spanner.
I have a slight concern that it's very easy to tweak, and as
Well,
such
that was what I said to you originally.
has a bit too much.
But it's not tightened down as yet, is it really?
No, I know. But as you ride, it's going to vibrate. Look, even with the slightest, I think we need to rethink.
This was my concern when we used this particular steel.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to use it.
Right.
It doesn't
Look,
mean it's a no-brainer, an end of game though.
No,
Because
no.
we can add something to. Actually, it does feel stiffer once it's.
All right. Well, I'll let you tighten it up first, and then.
That feels better already.
Oh, actually. Well, that yeah. I stand corrected.
That's a big difference, isn't it?
Pretty good. Yeah. There's a slight.
Yeah, it needs to be tweaked about a bit and moved and stuff. And none of that bottom stuff's tight either.
No. That's actually pretty good.
It's just as solid as any front mud guard I've seen on anything.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
It's a lot higher than I wanted it to be. I wanted it a lot snugger to the wheel. However, with the chain adjustment, we needed to have some space.
Right, I'm just going to move everyone around to the side. Excuse me while I pick you up. Oh, that was painless, wasn't it? There you go.
You just picked up the whole of our YouTube viewer.
I know, I picked up the internet. Not many people can say that.
Yeah.
Right, what do you think? Please leave your comments in the comment section below. I don't think that's too bad.
I quite like it.
I mean, bearing in mind, it needs a couple of little bits of tweaking. I think we can trim or maybe secure the top edge as here, look. There's a little bit of a gap here.
Oh, that, yeah, I'll fix that later. That's no big deal.
But other than that, what we now need is the L bracket to go in here for our light. Then we can get our light mounted.
Yeah, I want to rethink that a little bit. I want the shark fin idea.
Okay, so should we not mount the light for now?
But I want to make it like a little cluster that can be plonked on there and just bolted on from the bottom.
So we're not just going to go for a straight L?
No, we'll make the kind of shark fin thing and then put a couple of brackets inside it with some captive nuts, and then they can just be bolted on. Okay,
so apologies, we're not going to get the light on here today because we are going to, like you just say. But
we had a better idea, so
we did.
It happens.
But yes, as I say, we'll get some cardboard and we'll mock it up, ready for next time. Yeah. So for now, let's get these panels drilled and on.
Drill well. This one's okay.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, that one is different because it's got the side mountings on. Remember, this one didn't have that because it's got the hooks. The seat is going to cover these hooks, so you won't notice those.
We can also trim them down and make the tops little
vanes. So what we've done, we'll show you here. That comes off there. Obviously, they'll be slightly larger with some like rubber on there. But there's holes in the top. You see what we've done there?
Well, there's more holes than we needed in that one.
Yeah, this is the experiment one. This is not the final draft one.
Trialing and erroring.
But that goes in, and then that clips in the side there.
Yeah, and that'll be bolted down, so it won't go anywhere.
No.
I probably won't go for bigger holes. Might just go as it is here, like this.
Yeah. On. Now the vents we put in them. The front vent on this one, we're going to have to put something behind it, simply because the battery is going in there, and the last thing we want is water and everything splashing up over the battery and the starter solenoid, isn't it?
So the starter solenoid is right in front of it.
Yeah. So this one is going to be the functional one, and that one's going to be the air duct into the air filter, which sits in the middle there.
We may even add a piece of plastic inside there to direct some coldness.
Ah, okay. All right. Yeah. Right, now we are going to be looking for some more grips. Now we're going to use the original throttle tube, which goes on here. These grips are okay, but we want brown to go with the seat. So we're going to go for some nice brown grips, and we'll have them ready for the next video. Now, the indicators. What we've had an idea to do is to mount the indicators on here, which we said before. But to do that, we're going to fettle away the edge of this side and the edge of that side, because this is too thick for the indicators to go in. If you've got the indicator, we will show them. Just throw it across the floor. It's all good. So you can see we've got it here. It's not very long. So to put that through, you'll see what I mean. Well, look, it doesn't fit. So we're going to shorten these because these are not functional in any way other than to hold our indicators now. And they will go on there. So we're going to fettle this away so that goes inside and locks nicely in place. And then there'll be a thin piece here, and then that will bolt on from the other side. So our indicators will be here. And then when we mount the number plate, it's going to be on a bracket on here. So we'll have a side mounted number plate, and it has to be on this side by law, because it has to be on the side facing the middle of the road and not the curb side.
I'm not 100% if that is actually a law, but it would make sense that it's visible.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it has to be visible from that side, rather than that side.
Because we did have a conversation about it the other day, but I can't
remember. If we're wrong, we apologise, but I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Okay. Anyway, so that's going to be the indicators mounted on there. We're going to be doing that in the next video on this bike. We will have the seat already on in time for the next video, and we'll be showing you the paint, because the paint is arriving soon, and that'll be here ready for the next video. We'll also be manufacturing our shark fin for the lights on the back here, and we'll have the grips as well.
Yeah, I may do some of the shark finning off camera.
Between
But
now and
I'll
then.
leave it so that we can explain what's going on with it.
Exactly.
But I'll
Yes.
prepare some of it.
We will also weld on the tabs to bolt the seat to, so that, as I say, will be fixed. And then we'll obviously have the new ones of these on in time. The tank is the last thing that we're doing today. So Malcolm's already cut out the section of the tank here to be able to access the nut from underneath. And all he has to do now is weld a hole. Not weld a hole.
I could weld a hole if you want me to.
Yeah,
but
weld a
it'd be
hole.
messy.
Yeah, weld a hole. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Drill a hole in here.
I'm going to use my new best friend, which is the step drill. They're brilliant.
Absolutely. As opposed to the full drill.
Just ordinary drills.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of this episode of Motors for the Masses. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next week with a special product review. And it's not just one product. We've got some cool new gadgets to test out. So we'll be showing you those in our next video. Don't forget Motorcycle Live, and please also remember to click the bell, subscribe, like, share, have a look at our Patreon and our shop, which is in the description below. So yeah, I've got it all in today.
Well done.
Thank you. And there you go. Thank you very much for joining us. And until next time, please ride and drive carefully.
But have fun.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da. I'm going to drill a hole.
You do that.
Drill a hole.